Frank Seravalli loudly speaks out with some alarming quotes on the Thatcher Demko injury saga, fueling the drama even further than it's already gotten. And the future of Canucks goaltending is examined even further, along with some of the new hirings made in Abbotsford. We'll be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any new updates surrounding the Canucks this offseason. With that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Seravalli speaks out. And we saw in a quote from the Oilers Now podcast where he was saying that the playoff injury was a rare fluke injury. One doctor explained you could be in practice for 50 years and never see this injury. The initial hope was that it wasn't very severe. The fact the conversation has turned into he may not be ready for opening night makes you wonder if they pushed too hard, too fast, too soon. If not, and this is still lingering, I don't even know if there's anything they can even do for this injury. If you gave me $1 million to explain this injury, I couldn't do it. All I know is it's something to do with the back of the knee. And that too hard, too fast, too soon was something that we covered in our last video. So hearing a second person speak out on it, as well as a second person speaking out on the knee, does go a long way, I think, in showing that there is a chance that maybe that was the case with Demko. Maybe it is a knee injury, potentially an ACL, the three letters you don't want to hear with a goaltender, like someone indicated in our last video. And as well as the rushing him into playing it. We know the Canucks had a game plan or a timeline in place for him to meet. He maybe did meet that, but maybe he wasn't ready to meet it. And as well as giving him $1 million to do that, I think if you gave Frank Seravalli $1 million to do anything, you might not be able to figure out too much. I think a lot of this is maybe some speculation on his part, or maybe he does have an inside scoop on it. But again, there is a lot of things in there where it is similar as to what we've been hearing about Demko, about rushing him back, about it being the knee. But there are some other things that are alarming with it, as far as when you look at that, if it's lingering, opening night, as far as that thing shifting, and as far as this being a rare injury, maybe it hasn't come out yet because they don't even know how to diagnose this thing. They don't know what the problem was. All they know is that it was the knee, and it could have been just a rare injury. Who knows if that's true? It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder a thing or two if this is all smoke and mirrors. We have no idea what they're working with the Canucks as far as Demko's health and what their plan is as far as media strategy. We saw last postseason where they were trying to make it seem like he was going to be ready to play in potentially Game 7 against the Oilers, but then it came out that was not the case. He was not going to be ready. So it was a bit of smoke and mirrors and gamesmanship on the part of the Canucks. And it does make you think of this tweet that Tocchet had which reminded me of a tweet where he tweeted out a few years ago that Seravalli said a league executive told him he would trade Demko now. Seravalli felt if he fell off his chair when he heard that. Executive didn't know if Demko's body is going to hold up because of his hip issues, said he's going to be the next Corey Schneider, and oddly enough, he is wearing the same number. So it is kind of a little superstitious. If you are an athlete or have played sports, you're going to be superstitious and wonder if this is the curse of the 35. We're going to get to that. Also, another curse later on in this video. But with that being the curse of the 35, was Demko injury prone from the get-go? What do you guys think down below? I think it's interesting to see that as well, with someone being told Seravalli a few years ago saying Demko is going to get hurt or his hip is going to be a problem. We've seen his hip be a problem. We've seen his groin be a problem, and now potentially his knee be a problem. So yes, he has been injury prone. It has been very worrisome, and it has impacted his workload. And speaking of his workload as well, you see where Seravalli did speak out on the relationship between Demko and Clark, saying, I think it's fair to say there's probably been some friction over the years between Demko and Clark. The relationship is fine. It has been a disagreement on workload. And some wonder if that has contributed to Demko's trip to the injured list. Now, Demko hasn't played too many games. He hasn't played over 60 games in a season, and he has had a lot of production issues as far as getting his games played and making it happen as far as not having to split too much of a timeshare with another goalie. Unfortunately, Vancouver has been put in positions time and time again where they've had to put backup goalies in there in place of Demko because of injuries, so this has been a problem for Vancouver for years, and fans have been saying, maybe cut your losses, get rid of Demko, go out and get a guy that you know is going to be healthy, that is that same caliber, and that you can get either some draft picks or another great player for him. I know there are some trades that could have been made. UC Saros did sign that extension, sadly, in the offseason, so that was unfortunate for anyone trying to get him as a goalie, and now Nashville has him locked up. But he would have been a guy that would have been good in Vancouver. He's healthy. He's reliable. Then you have Demko, who is that Vezina caliber. So it is hard to let go of him. So it does make sense. And when you see what Kevin Woodley had to say as far as those comments on Ian Clark and Thatcher Demko, saying there is no relation between their relationship and the change in the goalie coach. Demko has nothing to do with Clark not being the goalie coach. This is not a Demko decision. I totally agree with this. I think Seravalli is just trying to blow smoke around people and just get fans riled up. And I think if he has any say in what goes on in the organization, maybe the players have more sway than we thought. But again, this isn't Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets. This is Thatcher Demko with the Vancouver Canucks. He's not influencing the roster or the staff as far as anyone knows. It would be pretty unprecedented to see that happen with a goalie in his position to be able to do that, especially when he hasn't played too many games in a full season. So it would be nice to see him get more games played, but if his injury is going to be an issue, that is something very worrisome. And as far as his timeline, Kevin Woodley did also have a quote on his timeline on Sekeres and Price saying there really seems to be a fair degree of uncertainty internally about those close to him when it will be. I think the start of the season is a stretch. Buzz around goalie community for a while is that he's had a procedure. This isn't the first time we've heard of it. And we've heard rumblings for a while that he did have a procedure done behind closed doors. Not many people were talking about it. Not a lot of information was given. Not many people were probably given information about it. It's just a lot of buzz. This has been one of the most buzzworthy injury stories that we've seen in quite some time. And it's interesting to see that Thatcher Demko is generating this amount of buzz, where this is a team where a lot of guys are just counted out of lists or just counted out of being mentioned in certain conversations. So for Demko to be this constant buzz around the goaltending community, it is bringing a lot of attention to the Canucks. It's bringing a lot of stories. So apologies for covering Thatcher Demko so much, but we want to make sure that anything that breaks on Thatcher Demko, you guys are the first to hear about it. You guys get it as soon as we can get it out to you, and we're just bringing it to you in the best way possible so that you guys can be fully informed and have our takes on the whole Thatcher Demko situation. And as far as Woodley's case on Clark, he said, I've talked to other guys around who have been around the league for a while, and they're blown away by that they have decided to go on this. I'm not using the word disrespectful, but other have. And this is one where Woodley, maybe this is one where I don't see eye to eye with him. I think with Clark's age and his health, the writing has been on the wall. No one said he could never be on the ice, but his on-ice presence has been wearing on him, it seems like, with his body. So he could be out there. He could have been out there from time to time, but not as much as he would have liked to be. So I think this is just an avenue of just him just wanting to stay with the organization and Vancouver accommodating his means. I don't think it's as deep as people are maybe thinking. However, it does open up the door to something that Taj did talk about on Twitter, saying Mike Buckley was the goalie coach with the Pens when Rutherford was there, hired by the Kings in 2023. Kings already have a director in goaltending in Bill Ranford. Wouldn't be surprised if the Canucks opened up their director spot to try and bring him over next season. So we do see that Clark was moved out of that position. They did hire an interim position for that with Vancouver. But after a year, if you just have that temporary placeholder to see how Clarkey does with the scouting, then you bring him over. I think that would go well with this team, where chemistry has been the big forefront of this identity of this team. So if you have a guy who's worked with Rutherford before, you could adapt very well to this Canucks organization and fit in very well. But let us know what you guys think as well. What do you guys think about the Thatcher Demko injury situation as a whole? Do you think this is all just a media circus, or do you think that there's something really here as far as his knee, or do you think it could be this rare fluke injury? Love to hear what you guys think as well, but that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is Pogge is a new Abbey goalie coach. And we saw here in the welcome post from the Abbotsford Canucks that general manager Ryan Johnson announced today the hiring of Justin Pogge as the goaltending coach of the club. And in a quote here from Johnson himself, he says, I'm very excited to have Justin Pogge join our goaltending coach on our team. He brings a plethora of experience as a player in the NHL, the AHL, international, and European professional levels. And I'm looking forward to seeing him develop our goaltenders in Abbotsford. And when you look at his resume as well, he served as a goaltending consultant with Team Canada's under 18 and World Championship teams during 2023. He was then a consultant with Team Canada's 2024 World Junior team before being named the goaltending coach for Canada's 2024 World Championship and the Hlinka Gretzky Cup team. So he does have a good resume to bring to Abbotsford. Again, this is a team and an organization with Vancouver and Abbotsford where having former players be a part of the organization and the coaching staff has been an MO and just has not gone away. And it's nice to see them maintain that, because bringing in these guys who not only have played in the league just on a casual level or a junior level, but guys who have excelled and played in the professional level. They've been around so many types of forms of hockey that they know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. So if you bring guys in like this that can develop these players, it'll go a long way. And especially with the guys who are the pros, the superstars, they're going to get even better having those coaches. A player coach like Rick Tocchet, who's been around the league. He's been around. He's played with greats like Gretzky as well, and he's coached with them as well. So having guys there where they're going to be able to be helpful for these players, I think goes a long way. And it's nice to see that Vancouver's just adopting that fully, where other teams maybe aren't, and they're going for more of the executive type, or for guys that just have a coaching resume and not just a playing resume to adapt with the players. And when you look at their non-roster goalies, you have Nikita Tolopio and Ty Young, and as well as Jiri Patera. I think Jiri Patera is really going to benefit from this as well. I think they brought him in, and he will be a very good addition in Abbotsford on that two-way contract. So we do have there as a safety valve for him. But again, I think these guys are going to be trained very well under Pogge as well. And I don't know if we're going to see the next Archer Shilovs necessarily, but I think it's going to go a long way. And with Shilovs potentially benefiting from this as well, everyone has a chance to benefit as far as goalies go in Vancouver, to make sure that we're set for the future. Would love to hear what you guys think as well. What do you guys think as far as goalies? Do you think we go out and get a safety valve for Thatcher Demko's potentially inevitable departure for the time being? Or do we keep with what we got and roll with the guys in Abbotsford as potential backups? Love to hear what you guys think. Speaking of what you guys think, that's going to take us into comment of the day. We see here in a comment from Mike Patrick that Demko should get rid of the Dracula mask. He involuntarily brought a curse to himself. Maybe that's just another superstition. We know that athletes and people who play sports or watch sports are very superstitious. We know that that did bring a lot of problems as well when he donned that new mask. He did see an injury last year a few times and a lot of missed time. So let us know what you guys think as well. Is Demko cursed? Is it the 35 curse, or is it the Dracula mask curse? What do you guys think? But we'll love to hear it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Love to hear what you guys think down below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.